Hello, everyone. We are live, and we are live in a very sunny Porto. I would like to start, if we have the ability to do so, with the credits of the show. Can we? And they're great. They're lovely. They're just inspiring, isn't it? I'm ready for you all. Welcome to this new edition of Ask Guillem and the Pure Football Podcast. Hello, boys and girls. This is Guillem Balague. And I've got loads to tell you from my trip this week, for instance, who I met. And of course, we'll talk about Messi and Zidane and Pochettino and Pep Guardiola and the Champions League final. The reason why I'm in Porto here, the reason why I'm being, hit by this amazing sun. It's a really good day in Porto. There's a tiny bit of wind, but a breeze, more like breeze. But it's going to become much hotter later on. There's a pool there. If I have the time, I may just actually swim a little bit, but I have filming to do for CBS. We're doing a documentary on my travels, and this, of course, is the last week of it. So you'll know more about it. I think there's a trailer of what we've been doing in the CBS coverage tonight, and the full movie will be on later, just before the next season starts, I think. But before we go into detail and your questions, let me tell you that one of the things, or the greatest thing of this Champions League final, is not the Tuchel versus Guardiola. It's not just the amazing players we're going to see. It's the fact that fans are around, and when you hear the fans, that's the sound of normality. And after a year in which I've been to so many grounds, empty grounds, echoing grounds, to actually being able to hear the banter and the and mostly the good atmosphere that's been created, the energy that's being created as well by the presence of fans is great. But another thing that happens when there are fans and there are people that can walk around more or less freely, it's not an obligation in Portugal to wear masks, for instance. It's the people you meet. And let me show you some of the people I meet this week, starting with this amazing Danish lineup. It's Michael Laudrup, Peter Schmeichel, and Jan Molby. And the amazing thing is that I was going with Peter Schmeichel to do the PCR and the antigens test that you need both for the game tonight and also for my travel back to Barcelona tomorrow. And we were talking about wine. He's a big wine connoisseur and was showing me Muga, a Rioja wine. And he said, "Oh, you must have heard about Michael Laudrup having his own wine." A minute later, we meet Michael Laudrup. And of course, Jan Molby was also there. Paper says, "Wish I was there." Yes, I understand what you feel. It is the place to be. Hopefully soon there will be even more opportunity of having not only 10,000 fans that will be going into the stadium, but even more than that. And it wasn't the only people I met. I was taken to a restaurant by Arturo Fernandez, who's a famous agent in Portugal. In fact, he's the head of agents in the country, and had a lovely glass of wine and some lovely fish. And who did I, cross paths with as I came to the same restaurant? It was a tiny restaurant, just in that part of Porto I'd never been before. Well, Andrea Villas was. He was there. It was lovely to see him. I need to catch up with him properly. We've been in touch all these years, but I hadn't seen him face to face for a while. Actually, one thing I did, and I think he appreciated that early in his career when he was at Porto, I traveled to Porto to meet him. We went for lunch in another restaurant, not in that one, to get to know him, to get to see what his methodology was about. I think he appreciates that. I like to do that with managers that are starting, and you can see that there is something special there. He is a different one. He is a bohemian one, isn't he? A rising driver now. He goes with cars, competes with cars, as well as wanted to be a manager at some point as well, if you in the future. But at his own pace, he just will choose things that he enjoys. Anyway, enough of me, enough of Porto, enough of my travels, and it's time to get you questions because there's lots to discuss, and we've got about 30 minutes to go before I go to my next media commitment. So let's hear from you. See what you've got ready for me. MC Freddy said, if Manchester City loses, will Pep stay and try again and again? you heard it from him anyway. He has said yesterday, I'm staying. Of course he is. 2-year deal he's got in place. And quite certainly, Joan Laporta has started the process of seduction to try to bring him back into Barcelona as a manager. Not as a chairman or anything, but as a manager. Well, it failed in a way, even though I think Pep Guardiola, a way like Johan Cruyff used to be for Joan Laporta, is a bit of a reference for Laporta, and I'm sure somebody that he can call at some time to get advice on who should be the next manager, because as Joan Laporta made very clear in the press conference he did yesterday, he doesn't trust Koeman, but has to stick with Koeman, maybe even for the rest of the season, next season, because it will cost 13 million euros to get rid of him, as he's got 1 year left in his contract, and he doesn't see suitable candidates at the moment, so may have to stick with Koeman. Anyway, in the case of Pep is here to stay. He enjoys where he is. He enjoys the respect he gets given by the directors. He tells this story a lot. He doesn't need to explain why the team wins or loses, because everybody knows. Mostly because they don't lose as well. But everybody knows the reasons why. Everybody thinks the same way. Everybody understands the shortcomings and also the strengths of the side. And he is maximizing the potential of that side. So everybody's happy at the club. He promised in November, in fact, in October, when he went to the Maldives and he spent time with Khaldoum Al Mubarak, the chairman of the club, that he convinced him they're going to continue fighting at the top. There will be 1 or 2 additions at the side, or maybe 3 or 4, depending if players get sold. All that means that he's in the place he wants to be. So that's the answer to that one, which many of you were asking. So in this one, thank you, Shen, and very generous of you. I will keep it up. I will keep working hard. It's my passion. It's what I do. So I hope not to disappoint. Sisi Kotsumbas, he says, why is Barcelona signing players when they haven't sorted the manager? In order to make the right signings, shouldn't they first appoint the right manager and then bring players to fit his style? Also, the use of Spain winning the Euros. Your best 11. Lots of questions. Well, on Koeman, Barcelona have got a style. And what they are trying to do is bring a manager that respects that style, which means that they know what profile of players they need. So one of the things that are happening is that they are signing players on a free, which they're not, because they have to they have to pay sign-on fees and stuff like that and commissions. So it's never a free, but at the end of the contracts anyway. Like Eddie Garcia, let's see, Kun Agüero. He wants to see what happens with the club, but I think the agreement is in place in terms of what he wants. Barcelona accepts what he wants. Everybody's happy with it, but he hasn't signed it yet. Wijnaldum is another one that they agreed terms, and they're going to bring Emerson from Betis. He's only 9 million euros, co-owned by Betis, right back, co-owned by Barcelona and Betis, right back. Really, really good season he had. And those are players that are they had to be quick in the market to get them, number one. Number two, they know which profiles they need. Number three, they've spoken to Koeman about what's needed. So all in all, if Koeman stays, great. If he doesn't, the new manager will have already a squad defined to the club's idea of how it has to be, the team has to play. Spain winning the Euros. Sorry. See, in spring, there's also this pollen flying around, and I'm allergic to that. So, anyway, I don't see Spain winning the Euros. No, we're not even favourites. It's a young side, a brave side, with a manager that will ask them to be brave, to defend very high, to pressure high, to be aggressive, to all those things, to be quick transitions, all that will make it exciting to follow Spain. But we don't have a goalkeeper, and we don't have a striker. We have Gerard Moreno, certainly, but he's not. He needs to play with a number 9, maybe Morata, but they're not David Villa or Torres in that. We haven't seen them scoring in that moment where it really matters, that takes Spain to the next level. Forget about the 6-0 against Germany. That was amazing, but I think that it didn't. There we saw the weaknesses of Germany and the strengths of Spain. Yes, but it won't happen often. I think Spain has got a lot of weaknesses. Let's see how the centre-back pairing of, I imagine, Laporte and Pau Torres maybe, or Laporte and another right-footed centre-back. Pau Torres has to play as well, but left-footed too. Anyway, they haven't played together. So Unai Simon is supposed to be the number one, but he's the goalkeeper that has made more mistakes that have been converted into goals in the Liga. 8 in total. That's a lot. And as I say, up front, Gerard Moreno can open up defenses. Maybe he becomes the Villa of Spain at some point, starting on the right-hand side, coming inside, like Villa used to do from the left to the centre. But I don't see it. Best 11, I'll have to think about that one, but certainly Unai Simon, I think, as Pacheta of Alaves has not been brought into the side. Yeah, difficulties to start right there. Who's going to be the right back? No Navas. Is he going to use Llorente, Marcos Llorente from Atletico Madrid as a right back? Is it going to be then, Pau Torres? Laporte should play, but Pau Torres and Laporte, both left-footed, I don't know. And then left back should be Alba. Then in the midfield, Busquets, I imagine, or Rodri, then Pedri, for certain. And I'm talking by, from memory. I like Fabian a lot in that position. And then Gerard Moreno, I'd say Ferran Torres, and even though Ferran Torres should play then on the left-hand side, and then Morata as the 9. Sounds interesting, but anyway, more questions. Matt Hayes. Thank you, Matt. Is PSG's pursuit of Hakimi a sign that Pochettino is staying, or can we Spurs fans remain positive that he will come home this summer? Come home. Home. He's an Espanyol fan, He's not coming home. He may go to Spurs. I don't know. I know what you mean. He, let's say, is a delicate one. PSG have told me that they don't want to get rid of him because the first step that has to happen for him to go to Spurs or Real Madrid is that PSG let him go. PSG are saying right now, we don't want him to go. They don't understand the pressure for him to go because the plan is to work with him. And in fact, they have been working and planning ahead. Now, we tend to relate signing of players to managers, but PSG and many clubs, it's more like the club asking the manager what profiles do we need and what do you think of these players? And then the club decides. So if Hakimi has come in or will come in, what a great addition to PSG, by the way. I'm sure Pochettino would have agreed it and certainly given his opinion on it. So I can tell you that, yes, they've been talking about the future. There was an interview that came out in the middle of all these rumors about his future, but an interview that was done previously and was always going to come out on that day. So it wasn't so much to shut everybody up. But I've got the feeling that Paris is not going to be a home for him in the long term. I think that's clear. He remains. He still has a house in London. He remains in touch with Daniel Levy, who they've got a very good relationship. Going back to Spurs is something he wouldn't scare him. He doesn't judge success as others would. How many titles you got. Not so much about that. Is how can I be happy? Where can I be happy? And where can I develop the things that I'm strong about? And where can I be trusted? So Spurs will have that. Real Madrid also looking for a manager. That is a possibility. Got a call as well. But it all starts with PSG. And PSG is saying right now, we're not letting him go. So that's where we stand. Thank you, Matt. Generous again. And Alberto Serre saying, Conte, Zidane, Raúl, Xabi Alonso, and Poch. Do you think Poch left PSG for Real Madrid if Zizou goes to PSG? Conte for Spurs or Madrid? Do you think Raúl and Alonso are real options? I think Raúl has been asked. Raúl is starting to think that perhaps it won't be him, but he's ready if he gets called. Allegri, they tried, but it's too late now. No, they tried. There was contacts, but there was no offer. And Allegri went for Juventus as he didn't want to wait any longer. Conte is a possibility, yes. Xabi Alonso, I think he renewed his contract with Real Sociedad and he will stay. He wants to do his journey at his own pace. And eventually he'll be in Real Madrid and he'll be at Liverpool, but not now. And Pochettino, I already explained. So, interestingly enough, the club says there are names that haven't come out that we are considering. So we're going to have to wait on that one because they don't seem to be in a rush to decide on who goes next. So, next question. Sherlock Shatman, it says, what is the reason behind Zidane's leaving Real Madrid? Okay. Zidane, hasn't felt backed by the club. He understands that criticisms had to come from all quarters, understands it a little bit less when he actually came on the second time as a manager to Real Madrid to kind of help Florentino Perez and the difficult situation that the team was in. Difficult because there was not enough trust in Solari as a manager, Santi Solari as a manager, even though he will be a top manager as well. And he is a top person and he understands football very well and did very good things for the team, like giving opportunities to youngsters like Ilon and Vinicius and Rodrigo, etc. But anyway, they decided to go with Zidane, and Zidane kind of said yes when he could have just been home and enjoying his rest. He said yes, obviously very well paid, etc., and has a big team to play, to manage, but he did it his own way, not the way that the club wanted. So not only he has felt that criticisms came from the club, an organized message was sent at certain parts of the season. If I don't remember wrongly, there was a time where he had to play Sevilla, Borussia Mönchengladbach for the last group game in the group stages. They need to win to qualify for the next round of the Champions League, and then Atletico Madrid. And at that point, the message was, if he doesn't get wins here, but especially in the Champions League, if he doesn't qualify to the next round, he will be sacked. And that came from the club, and that came from only one person, Florentino Perez. And he knew about that. He has felt as well that they were never going to ask him to remain at the club. As in, when there was a meeting on Wednesday with Florentino Perez, there wasn't really an insistence for him to stay because he knew that there wasn't the trust of the president towards him, and he's a very presidential club. So all that put together, he thought, I don't need this. And of course, the club wants to make a rebuild and wants to get rid of some of the old players, but at the same time, they renew Modric and Kroos. But I think that means Sergio Ramos at the moment is more out than in. Let's see what happens with that one. And all that, the club feels is going to be easier to do with Zidane. But at the same time, they haven't sorted out the managerial position, which is going to be important too. They like Pochettino. They want to see if PSG get rid of him. But why would they? I'll be surprised if they do. But we'll have to wait on that before anything else. Thank you, Sherlock Shadman. Any more questions? Well, in fact, we've got plenty. John Forsyth says, are Liverpool interested in Pau Torres? He seems the most Manchester City signing ever. Luke Class the other day. Absolutely. I really like him. We did a long conversation with him, which is in the YouTube channel. You can have a look at it and get to know more about who he is. And he's a local boy from Villarreal, the village. Villarreal is the village. Villarreal is the club. And, he used to go as a kid to see Cazorla and the like at Villarreal. And he, of course, he said yesterday, whenever it was, yesterday, when they were parading the trophy, that wasn't it great to make the bus stop with a cup where his grandmother lives and to be able to show to his granddad the cup. Local people celebrating the victory of the tribe, if you like, the victory of the village. As it is a small village. Now, I spoke to him about his future, and he seemed very determined to stay. He doesn't want to leave just yet. But of course, there is a buyout clause. I think it's 50 million euros, which is not that expensive. And Villarreal is a selling club. I think he's not ready to leave. But I haven't heard of the interest of Liverpool or Manchester City. I've heard the interest from Manchester United. At the moment, as it stands, what I know of, having spoken to him, is that he wants to stay. Let's see if anybody is able to change his mind. What else have we got? Daniel Jones says, Manchester City is still interested in Messi. If Messi becomes available, yes, so are PSG. And that, even though others showed interest in the past, from Inter to Juventus, basically, these are the two, PSG and City. But they both saying the same. Let's see if he's available. As in, of course, he's available now, contract-wise. But he always said he will listen to Laporta and Barcelona first. Laporta spoke a lot about the contractual situation of Messi. Didn't say details. I can add details to that, what he said. But basically, he was talking about wanting to convince Messi, feeling that things were going well, that he was moderately optimistic. He was also talking about how what Messi wanted and what he wants is to enjoy himself, to win, to see that the club matches his ambitions, and that the next manager, or the manager that stays, raises the standards. Nobody can accept the demise, the collapse of Barcelona at the end of the season. Nobody should accept that. And in fact, to show to Messi and others that there is that ambition and the standards are going to go high, Laporta also said that defeats are going to count. You know, that they won't be forgiven. He wants to get rid of a lot of old players, if you like, or veterans, to reduce the wage list. At the moment, the wage list is 110% of the money that's coming in. So huge decisions are going to take place. Laporta is not scared of them. I'm sure he's discussed that with Messi. And I'm sure that by getting rid of some of these players, the quality will diminish. And it's not guaranteed that the new players can help with the quality. But it will be new blood, new energy, at least may equal what Barcelona have done this season, and even improve it. But it's all about raising standards. And my doubt is, does Messi think that Koeman can do that? I've got my doubts about that. That's why Laporta is looking for another manager. But if Koeman has to stay and a lot of players come in and not everybody they want can come in, because as I say, it's going to be a difficult job, then it will be another transition year at Barcelona. It'll be the second one, and Laporta says there are no transition years at Barcelona. The plan for Barcelona is to present a very long contract to Messi that includes 2 years in La Liga, 2 years maybe at the MLS, maybe with Cesc, and then 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, as part of the director of football structure, or the football decision-making structure. And that will mean paying what he should earn in 2 years, paying it in 6 or 7 years. That's more or less the plan. He will be in the MLS and ambassador of Barcelona. That's the plan. Now, we haven't heard yet if Messi accepts that or not, so we'll have to see. What else have we got? Still got about 10 minutes left. Wow, Texas Kale, who wins today's Champions League final, Manchester City or Chelsea? I don't know. But I can tell you what I think of it, and it's a very fascinating final for many reasons. First, Tuchel is a studious man and has studied Pep Guardiola very thoroughly. I know he's read my book, for instance. He's read my book and other books. He has spoken with Pep Guardiola, he's famous, in different meals in which they discuss matters. The big difference in terms of how them two basically represent each other and represent football, it's that for me, Tuchel is basically looking for effectiveness, efficiency in the role of the players, in the decision-making, and the final ball, in the final decision. For Pep Guardiola, is that plus playing in a certain way that makes him happy, because he thinks that's the way football should be played. Not the best way, but how he believes in football. So there is a artistic side, if you like, to Guardiola, while Tuchel is more of a scientist, if you like. That's the main difference. There's another huge difference as well, which is that Pep Guardiola has got the best offensive organization in the world. He can attack in so many ways. It affects the way they defend as well. But the best organization in the world is meeting one of the best defensive organizations in the world. That's where Tuchel team can win this game. That's how they can win it, by defending well. These two sides have conceded only 4 goals in the Champions League. So obviously City can defend. Very importantly, they can defend counter-attacks. There were 5 goals conceded in counter-attacking positions when Pep Guardiola arrived at Manchester City in his first season. But there was also the sense of vulnerability, right? They got counter-attacked a lot. Well, he's adjusted that, and there was only 1 goal conceded in counter-attacking, and it was against Chelsea of Tuchel. When Guardiola met in January, I think it was, Chelsea, Frank Lampard's Chelsea, and they went to Anfield, and they got both wins. At that point, he decided, that's my team, basically. That's my team. Sterling has fallen out of it, and he's been replaced with Mahrez, but more or less the team is there. No number 9, even though they will want a number 9, certainly next season. But no number 9. That's the way to play the big games, and that's how they will play against Tuchel. But interestingly enough, I think it was in the league they played with 3 at the back, matching 1v1 the wing backs and the attacking players as well, and the midfield. So I wonder what Pep Guardiola will go for, because the team is more or less ready, the ideas, the way of playing, etc., the way of attacking. But how he's going to defend is the doubt. We'll have to see. And of course, Tuchel attacks in a way that is the most difficult way of defending, which is, as Guardiola explained himself, they got so many players in the middle. It's difficult, impossible almost to go through it. But also, they are very wide because they've got the wing backs, and they are very deep as well with Timo Werner's runs. That's why, even though I feel in the league, they could have been Chelsea, they lost. And City also lost in the Cup too. So, difficult to predict this one. Anything can happen in a game. Manchester City are favourites in my mind. If they play 10 times, they'll win 7, I think. But in a final, everything is possible. I put my money in Manchester City at the moment, but as you can see, a little bit not fully convinced that it's going to be a clear victory. It's going to be very tight. And this is, as I wrote in the Sport, in the Catalan newspaper, it's in Spanish, but if you want to read it, it's there in my timeline on Twitter. Basically, is the era of the little details. These 2 managers are about little details, a lot, 100 little details, and they both looking after them. So it'll be a tactical battle. They may be cautious at some point, but goals will happen. It is not going to penalties, I don't think. Lord James says, do you think Tuchel will press high or defend deep tonight? Both. Nobody has got just one way of defending. But they realize that the way to stop Manchester City is to make sure that they disrupt them quite clearly at the beginning of the build-up. But there's always a solution, as Pep Guardiola did against Borussia Dortmund. Tuchel's Borussia Dortmund, is to actually break lines with long balls from Ederson. And I think that game was 5-1 to Bayern Munich. So they need to press high, choose the moment when they do that, but very quickly turn the head into tracking back and do it quickly to maintain that stable, calm, and error-free area in the middle with 3 centre-backs, with the midfielders, that central area in which City tends to find pockets of space. They won't find that tonight. So I cannot wait to see how Pep Guardiola tries to sort out, and to see Tuchel insisting on that idea, and if that's going to bring him success. So what else have we got? Danny Spring says, how are things at Biggleswade United? I'm from Biggleswade, but moved away 9.5 years ago, so don't get to see how the Biggleswade teams are getting on via the local press. Well, you should get the Biggleswade Chronicle. Obviously, not. You must mean your local press. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and I think we've got TikTok as well. But certainly YouTube, and we put our games there. The first team men's and women's are there. I do a weekly column for the Biggleswade Chronicle, which I put on my Twitter timeline, and is also in the webpage. So there's a lot of information out there of how things are going. There will be news soon, big news soon, and we'll put all that out soon. So I better not mention much. But in any case, things are going well. We keep growing. Remember when I first arrived in 2014, we were 2 teams. Now we've got depends what happens, especially in the youth side, in terms of how many teams come in, etc., under 7s or under 8s. We've got 16 teams, which is fantastic. So all in all, it's a project in which I dedicate a lot of time to, because I love it, and I'm surrounded by really good people, and I hope that you come and see us at some point, Danny. Hello, Patrice Gray. Thank you very much. Great work and books. Next project. Well, you're going to be inundated with videos and text and articles and interviews about Maradona's biography, which is coming out in less than a month's time. In Spain, it will come out in like 4 weeks. In England, about 5 weeks. And it's what I've dedicated the last 2.5 years of my life, and I'm very proud of it. A biography of Maradona that sadly, it's a full circle, of course, because I focus mostly on him as a player. That's all you need to know. When he becomes his post-player life, it's his own business. It's his private life. Obviously, I paint the whole picture of who Maradona was and why he became what he became and what happened at the end. But it's mostly about what he brought into our lives. And yes, where does that adulation for him comes from? And a lot of questions I hope I answer on that project that I'm very proud of. And then rest from books until I find another project. But first, I think it's going to be a year of promotion of the Maradona biography. Tejascale again. He says, who replaced Aguero in Manchester City? Kane, Lukaku, Haaland, Messi, or someone else? That's what Manchester City would like to know. That's what we all like to know. They want a striker. I think their effort first is to get Haaland. And then if it doesn't happen, then they'll have to try another one. Haaland is the one they want. It looks like Borussia Dortmund are not selling. So they may have to go for other plans. I know that those that you mentioned, obviously Pep Guardiola, Chica Bedguistan are very proud of, but they're not going to go mad. I think they're not going to spend 180 million on somebody. So they'll have to look for all the plans for what's coming next. They don't know yet, so we can't do that. What else? Couple of minutes more because I'll have to prepare myself for the next thing. Danny, thanks for your reply. I do follow on social media, but I live 300 miles north of Biggleswade. Oh, so don't get to the local papers anymore. I certainly will visit. I hope to see you there. And yes, there'll be the chances. Stay the weekend, so on Saturday you can see the men's, and on Sunday you can see the women's team. Nick Horner, whereabouts are you broadcasting from? We are hoping that for that weather in England this week. I'm in Porto. You won't be surprised to hear. And yes, in a couple of minutes, I'll have to get ready to go down and film some more stuff for the CBS documentary that I'm finishing, which will be with you in a month's time or so, a month and a half's time. It's the story of my travels for the last year, because I've been in a lot of places with empty stadiums, but with cities affected by COVID, and I've spoken to players, managers, fans, and I will share through that documentary their experiences. So, right, my friends, boys and girls, time to go to my next commitment. It was always good to stop here and share my thoughts and my experiences. Remember, check the Pure Football podcast. Don't you love this thing? It's a very nice design. And the YouTube channel and Twitter, etc. I'll be posting some stuff on the way to the final, and I hope that you have a good Champions League final too. This is the last Ask Guillem of the season. I will be in the Euros. There is plans for things that I like to do there, podcast included, but you'll hear more from me about that soon. For now, see you later.